Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, gamers. Excuse me. That shouldn't have been a part of the intro. And fellow League of Legends lovers, welcome back. It is currently 12:41 a.m. and we're here 2 weeks later from last time to do patch notes. So, it is really late and sadly to kind of give an update on how things are going forward. And I know I always say this, but I'm gonna try and do this kind of quickly because I've started work. Now that means I have a lot less time, and again, I've said this in the past. I don't know if I want to continue doing patch notes. I kind of do, but I don't think they're too popular on the YouTube sense. But yeah, no, I was gonna do this earlier, but I was quite delayed, and I'll show why. It's because we have the election going on. Wow! So I've been actively covering it live on Twitch TV Tecnics channel, where I am obviously doing patch notes right now. Usually I do these offline, but now that work is coming and time is limited, I have to sometimes do things on stream that I usually didn't want to before. If this is going to continue at least. But either way, we're here for the patch notes 14.22 while the election is going on live in the background. So let's get to it. All right. Patch 14.22 is here. This patch we have an extra special ARAM update because it's the Bridge of Progress. I was about to say Butcher's Bridge, but it is the Bridge of Progress. Take to the bridge and fight your way across it alongside some arcane themed minions and towers. We hope you enjoy what we cooked up on this one, which, this could be brought into a whole separate video, but I'll kind of try and keep it pretty tame here. But we also have Mbessa finally making her appearance on the Rift as the matriarch of war. And I'll kind of give my opinions on Mbessa as well. I basically did these things already in separate videos, but again, I'll give the TLDR version here. Basically, with new ARAM, the Bridge of Progress, it's really cool, and I think they're actually doing some gameplay changes. It's not just a reskin. I do think there's some gameplay changes because some parts of the map speed you up. I don't know if that's permanent, because Riot has been saying they do want to update ARAM. It hasn't gotten a meaningful update in a while, and I hope the meaningful update they're getting, again, at least on the gameplay side with that little speed zone near the bottom, is permanent and not limited like the skin. Now, this brings up the greater conversation of why don't they just release map skins like they were saying, because people do their custom ones already, although Riot's making it hard to use those, especially with Vanguard coming in. But, the conversation around map skins, announcer packs, all these other things that Riot could easily monetize, and people actually want, by the way. We don't necessarily want $500, $200 Jinx and Ahri skins. We want actual cosmetics we all want to buy that are decently affordable for the majority of us. But Riot doesn't like to listen. So, either way, moving on to Mbessa. Mbessa's pretty interesting. Like I said most of my comments on her in other videos, but time has gone on. She's basically crazy. Like, she looks crazy. She looks fun. She looks broken. I hope it's not another Cassante situation, but she's basically, as League goes on in time and, more champs come out or slash rework, there's going to be a lot of overlap. Biggest example is Lux and Morg. Look at their queues. But, Mbessa seems in a lot of ways similar to Silas, similar to Cassante, similar to Callista, similar to a lot of different people just all in one. And man, does she look fun, but again, she looks broken. But pretty interesting. The only thing I'm questioning, and obviously now we're really starting to push Arcane, because Arcane is coming near the end of the month, I believe. But the big thing with Mbessa is, like, I don't understand how she could do this at her ripe old age. Like, she is not young, but she is a freaking gorilla. So, as an AD main, I'm so excited to be jumped by her. Either way, moving on. We have a few systematic updates this patch. The biggest one is that Summoner's Rift mid lane and side lane minions will desync their meet timings by more and more. Really? Which will increase the ability for mid laners to roam into side lanes for a gank. Yes! Yes! Wait, this is great. As an ASOL aficionado, this is great for me. We're making some small tweaks to AD Assassins to make them stronger as their intended purpose. AD Assassins pretty much suck for a long time here. We're also redesigning both Static Shiv and Yuntal to serve strong, unique purposes as one-slot AD carry-items with appreciable effects. So, Static, I think, has been a whole big mess. Back in the day, and I always say this, the main thing they need to bring it back to is just make it crit. If you make it crit, crit ADs will use it again. For some reason, they gave it an AP scaling. I guess, to not make it OP, even though it was, because then mages started abusing it. LeBlanc. But Uintal, I think, got a huge nerf because it doesn't scale. And one of the main users of it, in my opinion, because not many people use Uintal, one of the main users of it, before its nerf, was Jhin. After it got nerfed, after it did flat 60 damage for 2 seconds, so 120 in total, guaranteed after you crit, but that's pre-mitigation. Post-mitigation, it's obviously going to be less. But, it basically got nerfed for one of its best users, and it's stupid, so I hope they revert that. Because now the item, I feel like, is garbage. We're also making a small update to Warwick. Oh, so Warwick is very, very buggy. A lot of his things do not work as intended, especially his passive. Or not really his passive, it's his W passive. It's really, really glitchy. And hopefully they fix that shit. So they're modernizing his abilities a little and making him physically larger to more closely match his canonical size. Beyond that, we've got the normal bevy of smaller scope balance changes aimed at bringing up or down outliers. Cool. Very interesting that they're buffing Warwick. I actually really like Warwick, so hopefully those are good things. We'll talk about the skins after, but the skins are crazy. So, Ambessa's here. Like I said, she's pretty much crazy. She's so mobile. It's wild. She's an energy champion, which we haven't had in a while. But, man. Oh, man. So they actually have an adapted version of, the song on YouTube, her song, which I didn't know was her at first. But, yeah, Ambessa's getting her own song, and like I said, her kit, I reviewed it in another video, she's really crazy. She can basically dive the backline so easily, and she gains Omnivamp on her passives for her ult, I believe, which is crazy. As your general, all of your mistakes reflect on my leadership. You would be wise to remember that. So she's basically saying, like, if you do bad, it looks bad on me, so don't do bad or else I punish you. Like, yo, she's fucking crazy, man. She's so tough. Her daughter, Mel, from Arcane is so much more, like, nicer. Relatively. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see in Season 2 what fucking happens. Because now Noxus is shoving their hand into places. I don't want to spoil Season 1 too much, but... oh, man. Noxus is coming. But either way. So yeah, I won't go over her abilities in bio, but, I've done them before. But yeah, she basically roams around like crazy. She does crazy AoE. Her animations look crazy as shit, and to kind of preview the skins section too all the way at the end, her release skin, it's not as bad as Seraphine, thankfully. But her release skin isn't a 1350, it's a fucking legendary. And it looks sick as shit, I'm not gonna lie. But it's something that thankfully is not as like pushed or not as forced as Seraphine's was, even though a lot of people disagree with me.
Jinja protects you.
A great cause is contributing to the higher purpose and following.
Thank you for the follow. But yeah, basically new skins up? No, they're not up. They're gonna be up tomorrow when the patch comes out. Or I guess technically later today. But Ambessa is fucking crazy. Like, her legendary is pretty good. It fits well with the new theme. The new theme of skins is crazy, but again, we'll go over that at the end. Thankfully, it's not as forced as Seraphine, which normally would get me crucified. Either way, let's go to the system. So I'll try and run down these as quickly as I can. So bounties don't show up on the scoreboard as often as they would. We're fixing that. That's a bug fix. I don't know why they're including that here. So bounties now show on the scoreboard after 100 gold instead of 150. So side lanes. Last year, we made mid and side lane minions waves crash at the exact same time, so that if a mid laner cleared their wave and then roamed, side laners had likely cleared their wave as well, so now they're making it a little bit more dangerous. We're walking this change back about half. Now they'll start to meet at the same time very early on, but that will gradually desync. So back in the day too, if you just let the game play out and no one went to lane, eventually the side lanes, one lane would win, one lane would lose with the way they set it up. And then they fixed it, and now they're bringing it kind of back. That's interesting. We're lowering this bonus with game time in order to make sure super early lanes still are relatively protected. So you can't roam too early, which is fine, because on ASOL I don't want to do that anyway. So side lane minion move speed. Minions gain decaying bonus move speed 120 for the first 14 minutes to 120 to 0. Scaling with game time. Ooh. So again, mostly the effects of this changes mid laners can eat more. So they're probably doing this low key for assassins. Obviously, everyone could take advantage of this, but assassins want to roam the most, especially bot lane. So, assassins might be getting their time. Maybe their time isn't here yet, but their time might be coming. But either way, up first, we got the Trox. Trox has been pretty strong. I mean, obviously, we saw him at Worlds, but Worlds was on a very old patch. I think Trox is very easily balanceable, so this shouldn't be anything crazy. So they're lowering his AD on his ult by like 5% later, none early. So they're just equalizing him. That's fine. Anivia kinda is interesting. I think she's a very high skill champion. Um, I mean, basically, if you miss the Q, you aren't a champion to most players unless you're Froggen. I believe Froggen was the Anivia person. But I can see Anivia getting a buff. She's really not played at all. Anivia squills quite reliably due to her range and the safety of her passive. We think that's reasonable since she doesn't have a lot of agency and no mobility. We think that some of her later damage and durability should go down. Oh, so they're nerfing her, so she's getting a little bit more squishy for assassins. And the damage on the E is going down by 5%. Not bad. So she's a little worse off. Wow. Blitzcrank! The biggest thing I see getting memed is whenever a new champion like Ambessa comes out, they kind of show like, oh yeah, all their abilities are paragraphs or essays long, and then they go to Blitzcrank and it's like, oh, Blitzcrank's W slows himself. And it's like they're not fully truthful, but they're also not fully wrong either. Because Blitzcrank shit, at the end of the day, it provides him a little bit of a speed up, which other people sometimes get for free. And then for some reason it slows him. Now, granted, they said they wanted to put that in for counterplay or for punishment if you don't land the grab or anything. I think it's like stupid. Blitzcrank isn't as good as he used to be. He's still pretty fucking good because you only have to do one thing, right? But just take out the self slow, man. Like let him spam the W if he wants to. There's way more aggressive, oppressive shit in this game. But either way, what are they doing? Blitzcrank is in a sad spot, so we're helping him out. We're bringing up his damage to give more kill threat. Um, so they're increasing the total AD scaling, which is actually really scary. This is a 10% buff technically, and it's total AD. So full AD Blitzcrank is getting stronger, which is scary. But this is pretty good. Not bad for the Blitz. Briar! I really, really like Briar. Again, she was one of the prime examples of me being just straight up wrong. She was really good at the start. She's gotten nerfed and nerfed and nerfed over time, and I still think she's decently well too, especially late game. She's basically like another version of Yi, but tankier, but not as shreddy. But she survives longer than Yi does, I believe. I really like Briar though. I really hope they don't nerf her here. I don't think they will though. Briar kind of seems to be really tame right now. But we'll see what they do. I don't really see much Briars at all besides me. Briar was one of the most affected champions from the Blade of the Ruined King nerf. We're like the United States, so it's time to retune champions bound to it. Briar deserves a little bit of help with increasing her durability. So her base health is going up. Cool. She's a little bit more durable. Nothing crazy. The Corkster. So I've always said I think Corky is in the low-key overpowered state. And from the last time they buffed him, I think they giga buffed him. I don't remember exactly what. And weirdly enough, I don't see almost any Corky at all. So, granted, I have been playing a lot of TFT, which I'm not going to cover at all. But, I still think Corky is low-key OP. So one of two things is happening. Either A, people don't know it, so they're going to buff him again. Or B, people do know it, and it's just not in my shitty-ass elo, which is probably the case. But let's see. AD growth and mana growth decreased. Wow. So they figured it out. Corky flew all the way past viable, landed and overpowered, even though I think he was kind of there already. We're super happy that he's regained an audience and that those players are largely in Bali, and thank God. We'd love if we kept those players, but he needs to keep his head out of the clouds. We're hitting growth stats in his mana pool to try and widen the gap between mid lane, where he frequently buys Mana Moon, and bot lane, where spamming abilities for push isn't nearly as important. True, because you're not roaming a bot lane. So his attack damage growth is going down, sadly. His mana growth is going down. I don't really know fully what these numbers mean, because the growth numbers really toss me topsy-turvy. But hopefully this solves Corky not going mid. Please don't go mid, just go bot. Oh my god, they're touching Fizz. So Fizz, when I think of assassins, I think of the physical assassins, right? Zed, Talon, Kiana. I was thinking of like a third one. I was like, there's no way there's one. But Fizz, as well as I would kind of maybe pull a Blanc in there a little bit. These people are also assassins too, although they're AP. Fizz more than LeBlanc, I think. But I think again, assassins are just not good in general, and thank God they're not good as an AD main. But I do feel like they have gone shafted, not as much as ADs, but pretty much the second most. So eventually they should get their time in the sun, and it seems like it's gonna, if not start now, be now. Let's see what they're doing. He's definitely getting buffed. Biz has a continually lost kill threat due to his ratio nerfs. His items being nerfed. They're looking to return some kill. Okay, so what are they doing? The Q damage is going up by 10% scaling, which is great for his late game, which is already kind of crazy. And then the W is going up by 5%. Pretty good. Biz is stronger. Alolo AI. Alawi is, again, pretty straightforward, pretty just a numbers champion. You either buff her or you nerf her, she's either strong or weak. Obviously, it's item dependent, but Alawi's interesting. She's one of the few characters you don't want your teammates to gank because it actually helps her. But I wonder what they're gonna do. I haven't seen much Alawi's either. Alawi has been crushing it, especially in lower MMRs, as usual. They don't know how to play around the Tentacles. We're nerfing her early game and late game ease of piloting in order to give her enemies a greater chance. So they think she's too strong. They're nerfing her AD base and her growth. I think this is fine. Nothing crazy. Irelia. What are they doing to Irelia? I always say the same thing about Irelia. I think Irelia is one of the highest skill cap, maybe not the highest, but one of the highest skill cap champions in top lane. You can do a lot with Irelia. Irelia plays are annoying as shit, them dashing around like little flies, buzzing around like bitches. In all the times I've played Irelia, I've never gone the early game right, but I always scale back in, so her scaling is pretty good. At least in my respects. Or in my experiences. But I feel like Irelia is kind of at the point where she's a little bit too bad because I'm not seeing many of her, and whenever I see her, she seems so weak. Irelia does not seem strong. It's the same thing with Riven. I see a lot more Riven being used, but I feel like Riven has just fallen behind. And these are both like very skill expressive champions that like people make montages over, but not really much anymore, which means they're probably weak. I kind of get reminded of Yasuo with that shit too. There's a lot of Yasuo like montages where it's like 1v4, you think they're gonna die, but they just don't. They just kill everyone. Either way, back to Irelia. I can see them buffing her. I don't really know how. I hope they don't do it too crazy though. So what are they doing? We're giving Irelia a small buff that has large quality of life by letting her retain passive stacks while hitting structures, plus dealing partial damage to them. We expect the power of this change to be small relative to its feelability. I feel like it's gonna feel great. I don't think it's actually gonna be small. I think it's gonna be big. Expect that Irelia will be worse than most other champions of her class at demolition, but expect to feel way better split pushing and capitalizing on advantages. Huh. So the stacks refreshing is good, but the fact that they're doing 50% of the damage, which granted her on-hit stacks aren't really that high to begin with, but this combined with grubs with just damage over time, I feel like it's pretty good. I think this is really good for Irelia. Jax. What do I think of Jax? I think Jax obviously was used the Worlds, obviously on an older patch. Jax does not feel as strong, and this is where like if they, I don't know if they're gonna buff or nerf him, but if they buff him, they might lean more back into the AP style of playing, because they did change his scalings around after they like low-key give him the ASU. I honestly don't know what they could do. I hope they don't go further into AP. I miss Jax being full AD. I think AP does open up more nice options though, especially like Zanya's, but I just don't feel like Jax is the same. I feel like he's a little bit weaker overall, especially now. So let's see. Jax is performing a little better than he ought to. Okay, I guess I'm wrong. While we're happy with his recent increase to durability and sustained damage, we're bringing down his burst damage. So the cooldown on ult is getting longer, and the damage on ult is getting... Oh my god, it's getting nerfed by 100. Wow. I mean, granted, that's fine because Jax isn't supposed to burst you. And hopefully this will de-incentivize people to build AP, even though the scaling's the exact same. But yeah, no, you're supposed to be, like they said, beating the shit out of people over time, not one-shotting them, which you're obviously not, but I think this is it is a nerf for Jax, a decent nerf too, but it's a nerf I like the direction they're going. Katarina! So Katarina's getting a skin, she's gonna get buffed. Katarina lost a fair bit of power from the Sork Shoes flat penetration nerf. Yeah, they're only noticing this now. And it's a little weak right now, so we'd like to give her some power because she's getting a skin. We're going to give her more opportunities to chunk out her opponents without increasing her short-term burst. So the cooldown of Shunpo is going down by 2 early, which is insane. And the Death Lotus is going down in cooldown by, I think, another 15, which is really good. Katarina is decent. Cooldowns are a thing that she is pretty scary to mess with because of how her resets go. Either way, though. Kale. Please buff Kale. This character is so fucking weak. They took away a lot of her late game strength and gave it to early game. And while Kale still is a hyperscaler, she's still not like a guaranteed late game win, which I wish she was. But let's see what they're doing. Kale's performing worse than she ought to, considering she's pretty straightforward and has very little control of her own power level due to losing almost every single lane matchup. As a result, we like to increase her maximum power. Thank God, please buff her late game. So attack speed per stack is doubling, but it's per AP, but you're supposed to build some AP, so that's good. And then the max attack speed is same way doubled as in the scaling. Cool, so she's going to attack faster for building AP. Very nice. Cassant. Bro, this guy always gets touched. Now, I don't see big paragraphs here, so I'm assuming it's not bad. But, I have been seeing some crazy ass shit. I think it's from the W. I'll be shocked if they don't touch the W, because I've seen clips of the W doing like 2,000 true damage. And obviously, Cassante's building full tank anyway, so it's fucking crazy. So what are they doing? Cassante's early game is too strong. That's shocking to me. So we're nerfing it. I thought his scaling was too strong. Separately, he's too easy to kite and all out. We're cautious of erasing the counterplay gains from the recent rework, so we're making a smaller improvement to his dash for now. So he's probably still going to need the buff afterward, but let's see. I don't know why they want this guy to be so good or so bad, but either way. His Entofo strikes are going slightly down by 10. This is nothing. His all-out dash is now a little bit faster. I guess that's cool. I feel like that doesn't change much, though. Cassante is probably going to need more of this. I think this is not enough. Lilia! I love Lilia. I think Lilia is really good. I think she's a little hard, though. I don't think anyone can play her. I personally love her. I love her dot. Obviously, Yo Bruz TV on Twitch, he also loves Lilia a lot. He's really good at her, too. But I feel like she can't work in the higher up elos. I feel like she's good in the mid to high elos, but not the highest elo. I feel like she's just not viable there. Unless you're like a freak of nature at her, which I don't think anyone is yet. But who knows? We might have some challenger Lilias out there. I personally don't know. Either way, what are they doing? Lilia is still prancing around as the queen of the jungle, so we're taking another crack at setting her power level to a more appropriate level. Oh, please no. Excuse me, it's almost bedtime. Lowering some of her guaranteed late game durability is an effort to make her appropriately killable. So her armor growth is going down, which is fine. And then the monster heal over time, and I'm glad they said monsters so they don't touch the laning one, because lane Lilia is pretty fun too sometimes. The monster heal over time is not scaling anymore, which I think is fine. You didn't need the heal later anyway. It was nice to have, but I think the early game is when the heal is most noticeable. This is fine. Meowkai! What do we think of Meowkai? Meowkai is, I think, a little, I don't want to say strong, because he's very used. I do see him used, but I don't think he's strong. Like, what is Maokai? He's a CPC bot at the end of the day. I think what they need to do is definitely just buff his E, give it some more percent health back. But yeah, we don't want to see the days of AP Maokai, especially in Earth again. But I really feel like Maokai just doesn't really do damage. He heals, he shields, he does CC, or not shields, sorry. He heals, he CCs, he's gonna live. But it feels like he doesn't have enough impact on the fight, where even Scion feels more impactful, which is weird. But he really feels like a tree that's just meant to be chopped down. So what are they doing? Please just buff his damage. Maokai's a little bit weak right now, so we like to make him a better jungler and support without giving him too much top lane. So ironically enough, I think the whole joke was back in the day, Maokai only got nerfed because Freak was using him to like abuse him to get up in Elo. And then once he got high enough in Elo, that's when he got nerfed, which would be hilarious. I doubt it's true, but you never know. But either way, we're bringing up his move speed back up, increasing his early game durability. And move speed is a very important stat, by the way. I always say it. We want to smooth out an unusual optimization with the saplings that made him need to rush boots? What? So his move speed is up by 5, which is really sleeper good. Base health is slightly up, which is honestly whatever. And then the sapling move speed is now linearly scaling. So this is, I don't even want to say this is a bug fix. This is more just like a change, but it should be a buff. Because now you don't need to reach boots, so the saplings will be slightly better early, but in early game they really don't matter. Excuse me, at least I feel like in most situations they don't. But granted, when do they? So Maokai is better off, but we'll see by how much. I don't think it's by much. Der Kaiser. Der Kaiser is really simple. He's either good or he's not. Just change around his numbers. So what are they doing? Mordekaiser is dominating lower MMR brackets. No fucking duh. The higher you go, the less good he is, I feel like, because he's so simple. Just run away. If you have any movement speed thing, or any mobility, or even any peel, like I'm just thinking of Vayne Z, by the time you like get ulted and you're Vayne, and you E him when he gets onto you, and maybe you dodge like one of his Qs or a Z, the ult is basically over. Like, granted, if you're someone like a Nivea, you're kind of fucked even though you have the wall, but Mordekaiser, again, the higher you go, the harder he is to play. Is ranked back. I didn't think it ever left, but I don't know. I have to see if there's any changes to it if that's what you. Either way, let's see what they're doing for Mord. So Mord is dominating low MMR. Obviously, we're taking a swing at his damage there. Sad. His players are more likely to dodge a Z, taking down his damage as target way to nerf him. Oh, they're nerfing the E? So, oh my god, they're nerfing it by base and by scaling. So base 10 and scaling of 20%. Dude, that's a huge fucking nerf. Now, granted, I didn't expect the E to do as much damage as it did. But yo, man, that scaling is insane. Without any, like, compensation buffs, I feel like Mordekaiser's definitely hurting from this, which is sad. Wow. Okay. Poppy. Poppy is secretly OP. The pros know it. I don't think many other people know it, although now they're copying the pros, so they kind of know it. Poppy is fucking ridiculous. She does a lot of damage, great peel, literally anti-mobility, decent engage. Like, Poppy could do it all, man. She could lock a person down, push up against the wall, do great percent health damage with the Q. Poppy is one of the few champions early game as a support that I think has very great kill pressure. That's not like Leona or Blitzcrank or Not or Thresh. And like, it's insane how much Poppy is good. And people just don't know it. So, what are they doing? They're probably nerfing her. While we hit Poppy with the nerf hammer due to her support power a couple patches ago, she has cropped back up as the #1 pick. So it really begs the question, is she just good or is everyone else shit? So we're taking another swing at it. We hope to nail the support skew by attacking her. Oh no, here it comes. Base AD, which feeds into Hail of Blades, Bloodsong, and Dead Man's Plate. Ugh. While compensating a bit of attack speed to keep her sustained damage in top and jungle similar. So she's losing 4 base AD, which hurts, but the attack speed is going slightly up. This compensation buff sucks dick. The AD nerf is pretty big. Not huge, but decently big. You're gonna notice it, I think, a little bit. Die Roomball. Roomball, I feel like, is just an ulti bot. The other parts of his kit are good, especially his passive when it's fully activated. But the sad reality is, it's very skill capped. A lot of people can't manage it correctly, and it's very underutilized. So they either, they could do a couple things here. They can either A, buff his passive to make it easier to use, maybe make it last longer. B, just buff the damage of it. Or C, completely ignore and give power elsewhere. I don't think they'll nerf Rumble. I think they should buff him, but it's really weird what they want to do with him. Do they want him to be just an ult bot, or do they want him to actually use the other parts of his kit too? Which again, great, like high elo Rumbles will use it, but we're talking about the majority. And as far as I know, this game isn't, unless it's Worlds and stuff, unless it's the Worlds patch, this game isn't highly catering to the top of the top. So, we got to see. Rumble's early damage has been nerfed several times. He's performing worse in lane than we think is ideal. Instead of just walking back the previous nerfs, we like to improve his baseline. So they're giving him more health. This is nothing. Whatever. Seraphine, I hate this champion, even though she's really good and I play her sometimes. I'm just salty she got the skin that was an ultimate, but not really an ultimate, as her release skin, which is crazy. And because it was K-pop themed, people attacked me when I said the truth. Either way, Seraphine is always a problem child. I think Seraphine, even though she can go mid, just goes full, bot and just kind of fucks things up. She's an extremely good champion too. Like, Seraphine is extremely good. I don't really know what they can nerf about her. I hope they nerf her, but it's kind of telling when she's one of the best ADCs in the game. Kind of. Sometimes, not all the time. What are they doing? Seraphine has crept up a little too high in bot lane, so we're trying to deliver a nerf that we hope to be APC, which is look at APC. All power? No, fuck. AP carry, I guess? Skewed while leaving support Seraphine less affected, which I highly doubt that's the case, because support Seraphine builds damage too. So the scaling is going down by 10. Mind you, this is less of a nerf or not Poppy. This is less of a nerf than Mord got. I think Seraphine is way better than Mord. Either way, she's losing 10%. This is gonna hurt both bot support and AD and AP. Mid if you ever go her there. She's slightly worse. So Shen, what do I think of Shen? I think Shen has been constantly getting worse and worse, and the Shen mains have kind of been boycotting it. But that was a while ago. I don't know if they're still doing it. I don't even know if Riot fixed the issue that people were having with him. But every patch I did hear, he was getting just low key worse in different ways. Either the items are getting nerfed, he's getting nerfed, systems, whatever it is. I would love to see some Shen buffs. I want to see more just straight tanks top lane, which I feel like we rarely get now. I did fight a Shen recently though, and I beat the shit out of him. So I feel like either A, Shen's not good, or that guy's not good. Maybe both. But either way, what are they doing? Shen has really enjoyed the recent itemization shifts, and devaluation of gold is now stronger than we're comfortable with. Wow. I like to preserve his crowd control of everyone dueling and linking tankiness, so we're lowering power in places we think Shens are willing to lose. Holy shit. So the cooldown of the pass was going up by 1 second, that's fine. The cooldown refund is also still getting adjusted accordingly, that's fine. So the ult is getting lowered by 1%. So the max shield is going down by a good bit in the base damage department too. Holy shit. You're losing, no matter what, 200. Plus a little bit more to scaling. Wow. They're kind of smacking the shield a little bit. Holy moly. So Shen's a little worse. Huh. Crazy. Swain. So this is basically going to dictate, I think, how the Swain update came out. Because I haven't been seeing Swain, and sadly I haven't gotten him yet in ARAM, which hopefully we're going to play the new one soon, despite having work. I think Swain is probably still going to be weak. I think, buffing his ult is good, and buffing his E is pretty good too. But I just still don't feel like he does enough damage to the table, because a lot of the times, like, he'll just die in his ult, because he has to go in. When you're ulting, you have to go in. Unless the fight's over, obviously, but without being in the thick of it, Swain really can't thrive. When he's in the thick of it, aside from getting like the repeat ult stuffs, which I think might be too long, I think his just other damage just isn't there to really compensate it in that time. Where you kind of ignore him and then you just kind of kill him if you can. Not much ignore like Sion, especially if Sion's building full AD, but again, I haven't really seen this, so I'm kind of talking out of my ass, but I'm just talking about what I assume. But either way, let's see. Swain's update has come out, and though he's a bit weak, we're really happy with his new toolset is performing. Since we've not got a decent bit of room to give him more power, we'd like to increase his ability to space as a beefy mid laner. Huh. This is really interesting, because, again, right? Usually the update makes them OP. Sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, I feel like it's somewhat of a failure. So, I really am curious. Are they just going to eventually just, like, straight up number buff the fuck out of Swain? But let's see. So his MR is going up, so they want him to play mid. His MR growth is going up. So his Q, this is the main thing they need to fix. This thing needs to do like really good damage. So the base damage is going up. The scaling is remaining the same. Wow. Okay, I mean this isn't bad. This is pretty low cooldown too. It's really easy to hit. Now granted, you don't hit every little shotgun blast, but eventually you can if you're on top of them. So his E never moved. The cooldown is going down by 2 seconds early. That's really good. And then R. I feel like they should just increase the healing on this. When Swain ult, you should pay attention, and either you have to A, deal with him, or B, you have to get the fuck out of there. You have to choose one. And again, right now it really feels like you just ignore him. But either way, so the heal per second is going up based on his bonus HP, which infinite scale, so that's pretty cool. Swain is slightly better. Not crazy, but pretty good. Sylas is decently strong. I think he's one of the best people in the game, as evident by Faker keeps picking him. But they wanted him to be more of a skirmisher, not an assassin, which I think is fair, and I think it's better for just gameplay too, especially for watching. But Sylas is, I think it didn't really change much. I could see him getting nerfed because he feels really strong. And by feel, I mean look, because I haven't played him. Sylas is building more health, which we're happy about, but he's a bit too strong right now. We're reducing his health growth to make him more vulnerable. Wow. The health goes going down a little bit again. I don't really fully know what those mean, but whatever. Syndra's kind of, again, one of the AP assassins, so she's probably going to get buffed. Let's see. Syndra is too good of a mid laner right now and deals a lot of hard-to-avoid damage since once she begins scaling. True, so I guess I'm wrong. We're reducing her non-ultimate burst since she doesn't need to R to deal significant amounts of damage. So, they're nerfing it by 20 base and 5% scaling. Not terrible, and W is one of the abilities that does a lot of damage because it gets the extra, I think, true damage on top of it, which is wild. But, yeah, Syndra's a little too strong. This is fine, though. Udyr. I've always said this. I feel like Udyr is very weird, at least to me, because Udyr, used to have a 3-hit passive, now he has a 2-hit passive. But the way with the attack speed works, or maybe just because I'm too stuck in the past, he's always felt really weird. And I don't like champions aside from Kai'Sa that can kind of build hybrid. You could go AP or AD on Udyr. It's kind of the same thing for Shaco, but I don't really play Shaco either. I don't want to be an asshole. But I don't know what I feel about Udyr. I feel like more often than not, people aren't going Tiger, they're going Phoenix. So I can see them maybe buffing Tiger if they want to bring that back. I don't think Phoenix is particularly good either, and I think they nerfed the shit out of the Tiger stance full lethality, which they should have. That thing was fucking broken, even though it was funny as shit. I really don't know what they could do with Udyr aside from just buff him, especially hopefully Q. But either way, Udyr's Q-Max builds are doing fine. Wow, I guess I'm wrong again. The RMX builds are performing too well of late. He lost some power from Faded Ashes. He's very happy about them and is playing recent shifts to more methodical combat. We're nerfing his R damage and tankier builds. Oh, wow. So his damage is going down by a decent bit. No hit to scaling, though. The empowered damage is going down as well, in terms of max HP. And the monster cap is changing. So AP Udyr is a little worse, which is shocking, because I feel like that's the only one that is good. I feel like Tiger isn't that good. So they're just trying to bring him down, which is fine. They're decently bringing him down, though. Holy shit, like, that base damage is nothing to joke at. Okay, Varus. Varus is decent. I think, hopefully, lethality, Varus is dead, but I don't know. Now, the issue is, right, they did nerf Bork, and Bork is one of on-hit Varus's main builds, but people are also experimenting with full AP, and they're experimenting, or, well, not experimenting, it's been a staple to go lethality, which they kind of nerfed. So, it really begs the question of what are they going to do with Varus? Are they going to push him more into AP? Do they ever want him to go crit? Probably not. You know, what do they really want? I personally am a really big enjoyer of on-hit Varus. But, we really got to see. I feel like Varus has been okay. But nothing crazy. Varus has another loser from Bork's nerfs. Like I said, we like to give him a little love, so we prefer he play in the on-hit space more. Yes! More often than lethality. Yes! So the on-hit damage of W is going up. Let's fucking go! Again, it's not by much, but these things add up over time, especially on auto attacks. Even though it's pretty insignificant. Vayne. Vayne is pretty skill capped. Similar to Irelia. Not the best AD in the game, especially because she's so hard. But if you're good at her, you could do crazy ass shit. Just ask Gosu. Either way, what are they doing? So Vayne R damage increased. Oh. Vayne was in a reasonable spot and got hit too hard from the 21 blade nerf. True. Because she's basically only building on hit. Now, while I think on hit Vayne is the best Vayne, I do want them to kind of bring back crit. So I would have hoped to have some sort of a buff to crit Vayne, especially with like her Q. Maybe like the empowered auto has like a better crit scaling or something. Similar to other champions out there, but probably not because Vayne is this very slippery slope. They don't want to make her early too good because late game she absolutely eats ass. But let's see. Remember to give back power in a way that doesn't affect her early laning by increasing her R kill threat. So again, they don't want to touch the early game because that's meant to be weak, which is fine. So the bonus AD is going up by 10 early and by 10 late too. 10 across the board. Not bad. A little, you know, low-key change, but not bad. Velcro. Velcro is interesting. I think Vel'Koz is really good, but he's really dangerous to play because he has no mobility whatsoever. But if you're allowed to do damage on him and you can aim, so again, he's very high skill cap too. Not in just terms of positioning, but in terms of actually landing your abilities. You have to like know trig, right? Trigonometry. Vel'Koz is extremely good if you're allowed to do your whole nut, basically. If you're allowed to get your nut off, he's really fucking good. But I think that it's too not often they do that. So ironically enough, I think if they just buff like maybe his base stats, maybe his cooldown, so you could just try it more often. But that might really lead to him becoming OP because I think Vel'Koz is strong. Like in a team fight, if Vel'Koz does what he wants, man, does he shred. But it's just really hard to do. So what are they doing? I honestly don't know. Let's see. He's in a bit of a weak spot. We're giving him some power. He currently deals plenty of damage as a support and mid laner, but is weaker in some other areas. What other areas? Those are all his areas. Instead of choosing to increase his abilities uptime, since E's cooldown is a little harsh, oh no, so instead they're doing that. As his last max and R is important for securing early kills. So, the E cooldown is going down by 2, which they're doing a lot now, and the ult cooldown is going down by 20. This is good. I think this is good because, again, like I said, you just want to try more things on Vel'Koz, because it's not like he's necessarily bad, he's just really hard, really dangerous, really vulnerable. This is pretty good. I think this is nice. I think a little bit more would have been fine, but this is okay. Vi. Vi's getting buffed. She's getting a legendary this patch. Arcane is coming. Vi's looking a bit worse for wear and doesn't perform her duties in the front lines as well as she should. Yeah, because she's a brawler, not a tank. We're bumping her durability and nudging up Blast Shield, her passive, to reward her for sustained combat. So the shield is getting buffed by 2% max HP. That's pretty okay. Not bad. Not crazy though, but not bad. Wiener. Again, they're touching him. These are probably going to be buffs, but let's see. So Warwick is getting some small updates this patch. In addition to getting slightly bigger and scarier, like they said before, he's getting some quality of life changes that'll help him have a lot smoother combat feel with his attacks. Hopefully his W. That's the main buggy one. Additionally, we're changing the cooldown paradigm on W to make it easier to cast as a scouting tool. So his model size increased by 15, which means he is easier to target, so hopefully they make him tankier to compensate. Or if not tankier, hopefully they make him more survivability. Make him have more survivability, but let's see. So his Blood Hunt. The mana cost is down, not that that mattered, except maybe for lane Warwick. The cooldown is way more down. Spells now also trigger the attack speed when used to damage enemies under 50% health. The attack speed granted by attacks and spells now lingers between attacks. Thank God. This is going to feel great for jungle clear, because jungle clear, if you let's just say you're doing raptors, right? If you're killing like a raptor that's below 50% health and then you switch, it's a very abrupt, like, it just nerfs your attack speed like crazy back to normal, and it feels really bad, especially if you're switching between targets. It's really bad. The fact that it lingers, thank goodness, this is going to make him feel so much better. What are they doing? So the bonuses from passive, 250% increase on enemies under 20% equals to 200 under 25. So a higher range, but less of an extreme, which is kind of sad because I did like how crazy Warwick got when you were really low. I don't know how I like this. Again, it is making it a wider breadth, but I don't know. So before, the cooldown reduction ticked twice as fast if no one was being hunted. Now it refunds 30% if no one is found by the active. Oh. An active lockout removed no longer locks out casting while in champion combat. Wow. I think this is probably, I don't want to say overall a nerf, but I think it is overall a nerf, because if no one was being hunted, you're basically getting half the cooldown reduction, like 50%. Now this is going to 30, but it's probably more consistent because realistically, at a lot of times, someone is going to be low in lane, so you're going to have it going off even though you're not actively using it, aside from just move speed running around the map. So, overall this is better, but again, in most cases it is probably better. So what are they doing to the E? The Primal Howl auto attack lockout after casting is lower, which is great. Infinite Duress, the hit radius is a little bit bigger, so you'll stick on to people more. Now only latches onto champions in front of Warwick. Oh? I feel like that's a bug fix nerf, but I don't know. Either way, I really got to see the W. It's going to make him feel a lot better. I don't think Warwick is necessarily stronger from these things. I think he's just going to feel a lot better, which is great. which is really good. Wukong, Monkey. I think Monkey sucks. So what are they doing to Monkey? Excuse me. So Wukong isn't performing so well in top or jungle, so we're buffing him. I feel like he's getting a lot of buffs recently. He most commonly maxes W, so its cooldown remains very high throughout most of the game, which we think is unnecessary. We're looking to improve his top trading. He's going to be annoying. Oh no, I'm scared where they're going. So his mana is going slightly up, and oh no, so they want him to spam. So his W is going not even slightly down, decently down early. Holy shit. 22 to 18. I mean, it's still big, but it's a 4-second shave off. That's pretty fucking good. Wow. Okay, well, that concludes the champion. Not huge, but pretty decent. That concludes the championship. Let's look at the items. Youmuu's. I feel like Youmuu's kind of sucks because assassins suck, but a lot of assassins are getting buffed, so let's see what they're doing. We're shifting both Opportunity and Youmuu's Ghostblade in ways that on the surface appear power neutral. Our players can choose which items they want to buy, so a more focused Opportunity will be better for burstier assassins, and a more focused Youmuu's will be better for those who want to roam. They already kind of buffed roaming too, so I feel like it's probably better to go Opportunity, but let's see. We expect both these items to find a home among various assassins. Again, let's see. So they're nerfing the AD, but they're giving it move speed, which makes sense. That's fine. They're also changing the build, which makes sense. So Opportunity, they're buffing the AD by 5, they're taking away the movement speed, and they're upping the lethality a tad bit. I think Opportunity is way better, unless like roaming is really, really heavily emphasized and you have the damage to back it up, which may be for Zed more than anything. I think like this is something Zed could go. Someone like Talon would probably go Opportunity because they're so mobile anyway. But these are interesting. Not big, but let's see. You know, we'll see how it plays out. Static. Oh boy, let's figure this shit out. Everyone knows I hate this item if you've seen previous like videos. I think this thing is just horribly mismanaged. It's a balanced nightmare and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Just make it crit, please. Maybe not even make it scale off by AD, but like, just make it fucking crit, man. Let's see what they're doing. Holy fucking shit. This thing has been such an issue. We're reworking static in order to resolve some design issues. It required very specific optimization to maximize. You know what they're probably doing? They're probably nerfing this because of Jhin from Worlds too. It was a wave clear item that also slowly chipped down opposing champions and it sneakily supplied a lot of teamfight burst that was hard to appreciate, so they overbuffed it. We're giving this item a more straightforward set of uses while still being a cheap early game wave clear item, which I feel like you don't necessarily need in Balin, and they kind of confirmed this with Corki, where they said with Corki's buff, oh yeah, pushing out Balin with abilities isn't really that needed because you're Balin, you're not roaming, you're not really clearing, you're just CSing. So either way, it's getting even cheaper, it's losing AD, it's losing attack speed, and now what are they doing? So Electro Spark remade. Your first 3 attacks within 8 seconds fire Chain Lightning on hit, hitting up to 5 targets including the attack target. For 60 magic damage increased to 85 for minions and monsters, and there's a cooldown on this. Scoring a takedown resets the cooldown on Electric Spark. So I don't know if it has an AP scaling. Obviously the item is overall worse just base-wise. The fact that it's for 8 seconds since the first 3 attacks means mages could potentially still use it. I was thinking like if it was unlimited attacks in the first 8 seconds, then maybe even Kog'Maw would use it. You have like a really active time of just fucking. But that's not the case because it's only 3. It is giving you 60, so overall, it's giving you 180 damage extra over 3 autos. Huh. This is not bad. So it's a pretty good early game item. Yeah, this is decent. Interesting. I gotta see how this plays out. I don't know if I hate this one as much. Maybe it's a little bit better, but we gotta see. Oh boy, Yuntal. Let's see this shit. We're remaking Yuntal Wild Arrows into the early game auto attack crit item we promised earlier this year when we removed its pseudo crit damage. Oh, please no. Yuntal is meant to be purchased in the first item slot, but as a piece of a late game crit ADC build, it starts out weaker than its contemporaries, before scaling and surpassing them in teamfight DPS, which it used to do. As with any significantly updated system, we'll be measuring both its user base and its performance on those users to ensure it's home in the crit ADC space. So let's see. The cost is going up. The build is changing. The AD is going down. The crit strike chance is going down, which is not good. It's getting attack speed, which makes it, again, I'm looking at this from Jin's perspective. The attack speed is okay. The rated edge removed, so it has a new passive. Wait. What? Wait a minute. What? You get permanent critical chance up to the same amount they removed, but you keep the new attack speed. Granted, it does do a little bit less AD, but what? This is crazy. What? The new passive Flurry. On attacking an enemy champion, gain 30% attack speed for 4 seconds. 40-second CD reduced by 1 second on hit, 2 seconds for a critical strike. I don't like how there's a long cooldown on this, but they should just make this on crit. On crit, you gain more attack speed. Now, granted, crits do reduce it, but I'm trying to think, can you use this on Jin? I'm sad it's losing its bleed, but this is a crazy efficient item. Wow. And one of the issues I felt was a lot of like build options for crit ADs kind of felt really stagnant, really like boxed in. But this kind of shimmies it up now, especially because of the attack speed. Oh man, this is good. Okay, I gotta test this out, but I'm very excited for this. Wow, I'm really curious. They're basically making it a new item though. Wow. Holy shit. So you can have a lot of uptime on this because you auto attack a lot, but and it only procs on a champion. So by CSing and just doing lane stuff, you can reduce the cooldown, but you will never proc it. So it's really good for like engages, huh? It's almost like a mini. It's almost like a mini I always call it 3 penis strike. Um oh my god, it's I don't know the actual name. That's so fucking bad. It's almost like a the stupid red tree like triple strike thing. They said it before with Poppy Arcliff. Hail Blades. It's almost like a mini Hail of Blades. Wow, but it's for 4 seconds too, so it's not like static. This is interesting, man. I like this. It's a really good first item now, I'll tell you that. You want to get it first. It'll give you crit over time with the attack speed that you usually get from all the other items. Crazy. Okay, Barrier. Barrier's probably going to get nerfed because they're using, bot lanes are using it way more above heal. We updated summer spells a few months ago to give Barrier a real spot in bot lane, however we slightly overshot, and Barrier is almost always the go-to over everything else, which, sadly, I still think heal is better because it affects both people and it gives move speed. Even though it's less overall health healing than Barrier would give, Barrier gives really nothing else. So all they really need to adjust is kind of the cooldown, but we'll see what they do. We're slightly nerfing Barrier in order to promote more choice down in bot lane while also making those champions a bit easier to kill. So again, better for assassins, as always. Not by much, though. It's only getting nerfed by 20, but whatever. Smite. What the fuck are they doing to Smite? We had a target forgiveness to Smite last year to let players smite dragons even when an enemy champ was overlapping it. Since then, void grubs have been added, and it means that smiting over a grub's corpse will often target the closest living one. Wasting your smite like that feels bad, so we're reducing the targeting forgiveness to mean Smite won't seek out a new epic monster unless it's much closer to your cursor. I don't want to say this is a bug fix, but it's pretty similar, which is fine. Finally, we get to ARAM. So usually I would skip this part, but let's read it. Welcome to Bridge of Progress, where ARAM meets ARCANE, because ARCANE is getting heavily pushed. Dive into an immersive story-rich map inspired by the by the world of ARCANE. New visuals, quests, and gameplay twists, which I hope they keep. And I hope this map comes back as a map skin eventually where we could buy it, I hope, or it's given to us for free. And I kind of said this again in the ARAM video I made. I really, really hope that instead of, making us buy it, or, maybe buying it is fine, or just giving it to us would be even better. But I doubt they'll do that. They could also just make the maps random. They could have like every game in ARAM you go into, or it could be rotating on a daily basis or like every couple days, depending on the day. Maybe it's a different map, but they could really have it to be just you load in and it's one of three ARAM skins. It's Butcher's Bridge, you know, which is the Bilgewater one, I think. Butcher's Bridge, regular ARAM, which is in Freljord, and then the fucking one now with Arcane, and it's just random whichever one you get, which would be great. Either way, team up, explore, and dive into new adventures. So what are they doing? Adjusted visuals, added a small lane speedway, and that's the big thing, into the center of the bridge for more interesting play. Also to give melee assassins an alternate strategy in the early game to succeed. Adjusted health pads position slightly. Add small buffs to health packs. Added a speed zone. Wait, what? Add a speed zone to follow up on allies YOLOing in with snowballs. That's great. And I always say this with ARAM. ARAM should not be heavily policed and heavily balanced. It should be more of a for fun game mode because it's random. Now, obviously, it shouldn't be like crazy unbalanced, but they really should take a more hands-off approach, just slightly tweaking, which it looks like they're doing. They're making more fun. Added side-specific rewards for taking inhibs. That's interesting, and I hope they keep that too. Added a few base brushes, or brush-less barriers to make defenses a bit more interesting, which is great. Nemesis quest. Explore 5 unique Nemesis quests we've prepared, dive in, play, and uncover the stories, which is really cool. New player experience. The following changes will start to roll out specific regions, impact revival players, accounts that haven't played in a while. And returning players' first few games in the Bridge of Progress mode, the player might be placed against a bot team. Also, I heard about this. This is honestly whatever. They really made an emphasis, and I will give it to Riot. They've made a big emphasis on trying to push the early game, the new player experience, which is good because League is mostly filled with people who hate the fucking game but play it because they're sick. I think this is where, for the most part, League now, at least, is a lot more welcoming to new players, which is good because you want to keep the player base alive. There can always be more players. And ironically enough, I feel like it's a time where toxicity is still there, but it's not what it used to be. Like, dear Lord, they really cracked down on it. You can never solve it, but man, it's a lot better. So, if for a new player's perspective, I mean, new players are great for the game. It gives the game longevity, more money, obviously, because people get addicted and hooked. But it's a lot better. This is really good. Let's see. They might be placed into a bot game. These bots are designed to adapt to the player's skill and should gradually ease players back in. Players will only see these bots in the Bridge of Progress queue, so not in regular games, and only for the first few matches after returning from a minimum of a 6 months hiatus. Players will not encounter them in any other queue, so it's only going to be an ARAM. Established League players won't see any changes unless they queue with a new or returning player. Much like the new player experience bots that were released with Quick Play, these bots aim to help new and returning players refamiliarize themselves. Cool. Great. Mythic Shop rotation, no one cares. Bug fixes, no one cares. And now for the upcoming skins. I always love new skins getting added. I'm very happy new skins get added. And, or new skin lines, rather, not new skins. I really like new skin lines, and this is a really interesting one, and I really like it. So Chosen Wolf Ambessa is a legendary. She looks fucking insane and sick and crazy. Chosen of the Wolf Swain, finally a Swain skin. It looks pretty good. Chosen of the Wolf's Kindred. The splash art looks amazing. Very cool. I mean, it's literally their line. It's from them. Prestige Chosen of the Wolf Swain looks very similar to, I don't want to say Crime City, but kind of. Like, I can imagine him being a fucking baller pimp here, but, and he basically is. His wings are basically swords, though, which is pretty cool. I think it's an amazing Swain skin. I just don't feel like it fits with the theme too well. He looks more like a businessman here. Again, more like Crime City. Either way, we have Pantheon, which fits very well in the skin line. This almost looks like it could be default Pantheon, though, just like evil corrupted. And then, obviously, Chosen of the Wolf Katarina. She's showing off the Instagram pose right here, with a lot of ladies do. This is really fucking good. I don't know about the in-games too much. I haven't seen too much of them. I saw previews, but the skin line is really fucking good. If you like red, you're gonna love this shit. Here we can see some of the in-game models. Chosen of the Wolf Ambessa is pretty interesting. I don't know how it is as a legendary. I saw some new animations, but sadly, you know, as was proven in the past, they're not above reusing animations either from the regular skin or from other legendaries, which Ambessa doesn't have one. But one of the big things people noticed is And I don't know if they used it one for one, but Ambessa's walk animation is basically just Shyvana's, which, it's sad to kind of have that be the case. I don't know if it's the case in her legendary as well, but only time will tell. But either way, aside from that, the chromas are looking kind of bland because everything is so like red. I think the red itself is a chroma in and of itself, or at least it looks like this for Katarina and stuff. But let me get like a closer look at this shit. And we could see it right here too. Not bad. It's really sad that the blades or like the weapons and stuff don't change as well. But it is what it is. I think still they're good. They're good skins. Just the chromas aren't the best on them, which is honestly fine. We get them for free eventually anyway. But overall, that's gonna be the patch. Excuse me. I think there's some really exciting stuff here. The ARAM stuff is pretty much gonna push the patch pretty decently high. Aside from that, the AD item changes are pretty interesting as well. The assassins are getting buffed. I think not like buffed enough to really put them at the forefront, but decently buffed to where I noticed, right? And they kind of did need it for a long time. I think this is honestly a pretty decent patch. Only time will tell, obviously. And it's sad I don't retroactively go back and update my ratings, but if I had to give any sort of rating for this, for now, it would be, I would say, a solid 7.5 Marc Merrills out of 10. Very excited for the ARAM stuff and the AD items, like I said. And pretty good changes to some people. Not many changes I necessarily disagreed with, even though I was kind of wrong on what I assumed they would do. But I'm just excited for the new Arcane stuff and the AD stuff. So either way, 7.5 out of 10 Marc Merrills. I hope everyone enjoyed, and that's about it. I'm gonna go crack because I have work soon. And just to give everyone an update before we really finish this video, here's how the election is going. Wow, Trump almost wins, but let's see. Either way, by the time this comes out and by the time people see it, the election should be over, so we'll know the results of this. Either way, hope everyone enjoyed. Eat.